BJ, I think you set a record probably on collections. I think the over under after the age deal was 375. And I was kind of doing the math and I was like, we're on a roll here. Yeah, it's too bad McDonald didn't have a birthday and we'd have hit 500. Anyway, Steve Fairbanks is with us with Solar Under the Sun. This is going to be a pretty cool deal. I think pretty informative. It's not often we get a K-State grad here from Manhattan High School, and what brought him here in 1971 was he put in a putt-putt course. And we don't get to see a lot of putt-putt ownerships around anymore. So, Steve, come on up. That's a neat deal. I think this is going to be a great program, and I think the ending's really going to be good with what you're going to do for us.
Is it green? Okay. Um, my name is Steve Fairbanks. I brought a friend of mine with me, Tim Slice. Uh, Tim went to the number 2 solar class many years ago, about 15 years ago? And he said, Steve, you need to go to this class. So I went to class number 3. And I'll tell you a little bit later in this talk what that meant to me and what it means now. Solar Under the Sun is an ecumenical mission of the Synod of the Sun. It happens to be connected to the Presbyterian Church, but we don't care who comes, Methodists, Catholics, anybody. We take everybody. From the rising of the sun to its setting, the name of the Lord is to be praised. That's Psalm 113, verse 3. What is energy poverty? And energy poverty is not having access to electricity because it's either unavailable, unreliable, or unaffordable. And 1.2 billion people don't have access to any electricity at all. What are the problems? It impacts people's health. Every year, an estimated 3.5 million people, mainly women and children, die from respiratory illnesses caused by the harmful indoor air pollution from kerosene lamps and or the burning of fossil fuels and biomass within their home. And that's more deaths than malaria and AIDS combined. It also impacts the health of health clinics. Health clinics cannot operate after dark if they don't have any electricity. They also have no refrigeration to store blood or medication, which could help people save their lives. They don't have electricity that runs basic machines like incubators and x-ray machines that can help people. And they don't have any way to contact hospitals to set up transportation so that people that need a larger hospital and more services can get there. Energy poverty impacts education. A third of the primary schools in the world lack reliable sources of electricity. 90 million children in Africa go to a school that doesn't have electricity. You can read on the sign some of the other things that happen. Also, the energy poverty impacts education. It reduces the amount of time that children spend in school, and it reduces the amount of time that they have available for studying. You notice the picture on the upper left-hand corner? These young boys are sitting under street lamps studying their books for classes the next day because they don't have electricity in their homes. They can't read at home. Most of the places when the sun goes down, people's day ends because there's no light. Energy poverty restricts the teachers and the resources that the teachers use. It also detracts from being able to hire good teachers because those teachers don't have the equipment that they need to really be good teachers. Energy poverty impacts in the environment. More than 2.7 billion people rely on wood, crop waste, kerosene, dung, and other biomass for lighting, cooking, and heating within their homes. And the time spent gathering fuel results in a scarcity of those fuels and fuel systems in the areas where they live. That means they have to spend more time going farther distance to gather this material that they burn in their homes. Our mission statement is Solar Under the Sun cultivates relationships with communities and individuals and trains volunteers to alleviate energy poverty around the world. How do we do this? Our two primary functions are we train and we connect. And when we say we train, we conduct 2 solar schools a year somewhere in the United States. Our solar school is split into 2 parts. The Solar 1 people concentrate on leadership, partnership, and development and surveying. The Solar 2 people concentrate on the system design and the equipping of the mission partners. And when we say we connect communities and people who can give to communities and people who can go to communities and people who need. The first step is to go to solar school. I believe our next solar school is scheduled for about the second week in September. Tim and I are both instructors in solar school. We both instruct in the Solar 2 part of it, the system development. Neither one of us are electrical engineers. So the niche that I do is I bring the toys, which is all of these things that people that are electrical engineers tell me how to put together. If you can read a wiring diagram, you can build one of these systems. And reading a wiring diagram is very simple. It shows you where to connect whatever wire they want you to connect, whether it's a number 6 or a number 8 or a number 12 or whatever. It tells you where it goes. You connect it there, and if you follow all the directions, you can build a system. Solar 1, the Solar 1 part is harder. It would be harder for me. It's the leadership, the partnership, the development, and the surveying. And there's 6 points listed on there that Solar 1 people do. The most important one, though, is the site evaluation that determines the needs and the wants of the community or whatever we're trying to electrify. A lot of people would like to have wants, but they may not need it. And everything that you electrify costs money. So you have to determine the difference between your wants and your needs. The Solar 1s are also the trip leaders, and they also negotiate the covenants with the developing partners, and that's a real important thing. That helps determine what the wants and needs are, is the covenant development. Now, the Solar 2 people, they're trained in the technical aspects of the solar power systems. They learn to assess the power needs of the community. They design the system that meets those needs, and they lead the installation team. Solar 2s understand the system components and how they operate. They practice safety. and teach in-country partners to operate and maintain the equipment. About 15 years ago, I had a liver transplant, and that has cost me the opportunity to go on a team that actually builds these systems in other countries. It's generally not really safe for me to go to a third world country for health reasons. I was planning on going to Honduras a couple years ago, and COVID hit. And fact is, we had tickets and would have been in Honduras had they not closed Honduras 2 weeks before we were supposed to go. So we were pretty fortunate that it got closed before we got there. Otherwise, I still might be there. I don't know. Tim was also scheduled to be on that trip. I think Tim and I are the only two people in Solar Under the Sun that's actually been canceled off of 2 trips. The other trip that we were scheduled to go on, they had unexpected rains that washed the road off the mountain, and they couldn't get to the villages that we were working on. That project was 76 little houses in 3 little villages, and we completed it in about a 4-year time frame throughout the COVID era. When we could get equipment down there, we trained the people that we trained. When we could get them equipment, they could go ahead and finish designing or finish installing the rest of that equipment in the homes that we hadn't gotten to yet. So it did get done. And that was in Honduras. And we're currently in another little village with 29 homes. This village has a grid system, but these 29 homes are on the peripheral of the village, and the village is not going to send a power line to any of them. So they're actually outcasts and have nothing. So we're doing 29 little homes in this village. Okay, Solar 1s and Solar 2s also go to plenary sessions. All students participate in these sessions to learn how to do meaningful mission in partnership with a community in the developing world. The second step for our primary function is to get connected, and we do this with a program that we call Solar Connect. And that's where we have an initiating partner, which is a church or an organization or any group that raises money and sends representatives to Solar School and then conducts an installation trip and a follow-up trip. And they connect with an operating partner, and that's the church or the orphanage or the school or whatever entity takes ownership of the system and provides the operators for the system and operates the system on a day-to-day basis. Some of the things that you do is you build your load centers. Sometimes we used to call them breaker boxes. We call them load centers now. If you look up here in front, this right here is the load center. We do the wiring for the homes. We also put up the solar panels. And when everything goes up and everything gets tied together, you turn on the switch and you have light. And in this little system, this is the load center, and we call that the heart of the system because everything goes through the load center. This little piece right here is the charge controller, and we call that the brains of the system because it tells you how much electricity is going where. This piece is the inverter. It changes the electricity from DC to AC, so you can use it as on AC lights or you can use it to charge your cell phone. And this is just a switch that you can unplug and then work on the system if you need to. And if everything works right, when you turn on the switch, the light comes on. And that's what it's all about. Now, I have a picture that I couldn't find before I came here of a little boy. He's about this tall, and he's looking up at a light bulb, and that's the first time he's ever seen light. And the look on his face is priceless. It's just priceless. That's all you can say about it. And let me tell you that the rest of the story, some of you are old enough to remember Paul Harvey. He used to have a thing called the rest of the story. Well, when I was in class number 3, a gentleman by the name of Robert Minja and I built the solar system that went into the Juja Presbyterian Church in Juja, Kenya. And the night that they were going to dedicate that system, the entire grid system of Juja, Kenya went out, and everything was black. They went ahead and did the dedication. They flipped the switch. The lights came on. The church sits on top of a hill, and the light from the church shined out over Juja, Kenya. And people from all over the city came to the church to find out why there was light on top of the hill. Every time I tell that story, I get goosebumps. It's an unbelievable night. A friend of mine from Ponca City, Harold Younger, was on that installation trip, and he said it was just an incredible night. People kept coming from all over the city to find out why there was light on the hill. And that's where there was. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. The projects. We do have projects in all of those countries: Haiti, Honduras, Kenya, Malawi, Uganda, Ukraine, and Venezuela. We have done a solar school in Puerto Rico. The people that we trained in Puerto Rico have done some of their own projects in places where the hurricanes destroyed the infrastructure of the community. We're just trying to keep electrifying whatever we can, whenever we can. Why solar under the sun? Believing Jesus Christ is the light of the world, we envision a reality where every person on the planet has access to clean, sustainable, life-changing energy. Will you help us? Tim and I have brought some bags. We're going to give everybody here a bag. Inside this bag is an LED light bulb. That's the kind you should be using in your home. Most of these are 8 watts or 8.5 watts. I think one of you might get a 23 watt bulb. The 8.5 watt, 8 watt, or maybe even 10 watt is equivalent to a 60 watt light bulb. The 23 watt, I think, is a 100 watt light bulb. And you can see the difference in the amount of money you spend on the energy from one light bulb to an incandescent light bulb. And we're also going to challenge you. We're going to give you the light bulb challenge. There's a little piece of paper in there that looks like this, and what we want you to do is count all the light bulbs in your home. Use this little check sheet and write down the numbers, and then prayerfully consider contributing to the work of Solar Under the Sun based on your findings. And this is only if you want to. Be sure to count light bulbs in your entryway, in your kitchen, in your microwave, in your refrigerator, in your bathroom, your bedroom, your family room, your dining room, your basement, your garage, your workroom, your utility room, any area in your house that has a light. Now, I'm going to give everybody a break. Does anybody have Christmas lights at home? Count your Christmas lights as one light bulb, okay?
I know somebody in here still has your Christmas lights up. Don't deny it.
Yeah, but just count your whole string of Christmas lights as one light bulb. I'll give you a break there. And then if you want to, send a check for $1 a bulb to Solar Under the Sun, and there's an address here. And that helps us with our mission work in Kenya. And, well, not Kenya, but Honduras. We're not in Kenya right now. We're in Honduras.
I think we have a few questions. Are you open for questions, Steve?
We're open for questions.
All right.
And I also have a solar trailer out in the parking lot that I'd like to show everybody after this is done. It's up, it's operating, and I can show you what we're doing with
Oh, field trip, and it's so close.
I got a question over here.
it. Okay,
On your solar system you got, and you're powering 29 homes,
yes,
how do you store the power during the day?
battery,
Okay, you didn't.
battery, one battery, one solar panel. Solar panels,
So they just have electricity just to maybe turn on a light bulb during the night?
yep,
Okay.
yep. They also can use it to charge cell phones. That's a really big deal. In third world countries, they need a way to charge a cell phone because that's how they communicate with people.
I know you all are trained, have trained yourself on how to do solar, but I'm just curious, is here in the States, are people that do provide solar systems, is there a requirement or a legal requirement for them to be licensed or some kind of requirement to be trained?
I'm sure there is. We don't do anything in the States because of the rules and the regulations.
Okay.
Our systems are standalone systems by themselves. We don't tie into any grid. We don't do any of that. Fact is, we don't conform to U.S. code. There's a in our large box. I've got two different systems out on the trailer. In our large box, there's a piece of wire that's about 4 inches long. It's a number 2 wire, and we use stranded wire instead of a solid piece of wire. And the reason we do that is because it's a lot easier to bend. And so that's what we do. And like I said, it's only 4 inches long. It goes from a negative bus bar to a 500 amp 500 amp, I can't remember the name. Thingy. Yeah, thingy. And it's 4 inches long, but it's not code. So, but it works just as good as the other, so, yes.
How long does your solar systems last?
Well, the one in Juja, Kenya is going on 13 years now. It was installed on December of 2012. And that Juja Presbyterian Church, it's still going. Robert was over there a couple years ago, and I called him and asked him how things were, and he said it's still functional. So there's very, very few parts that can wear out. In fact, there really isn't any parts that can wear out. The thing that you have the biggest problem with is the batteries. And the batteries is what they go 5 to 7 years typically if you take good care of them. People don't always take good care of batteries, and in fact, one of the classes that I teach is battery maintenance, and I tell people that batteries don't go bad by themselves. People murder batteries, and the way we murder them is we don't take care of them. And if you don't take care of them, they will go real quick, and they're expensive. It's like $200, and the last one I bought was like $220 some. So
I have a question over here.
Yes.
You, when you go on the mission trip, it's two parts. How long of a time are you there to set them up? And the second one, you talked about a follow-up meeting or a follow-up trip. How long after the first trip do you go for the follow-up?
Well, there's actually 3 trips. There's the first trip, a Solar 1 person and a Solar 2 person goes to evaluate the needs and wants of what the project is going to be. And they take pictures, they do take measurements, they find out if you can get the equipment and where you can get the equipment and if everything's good. After they do that, they come back, they get with the Solar 2s, they design the system, they figure out what's going on. The trip generally will have 8 to 10 people on it. They'll go in, and you're usually there about a week, and you can put these in, and we can put in 10 or 12 systems in a week, and then about a year later, they go back and check to be sure that everything's still functional, that the people that have been trained to operate the systems are still doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not using the systems to power equipment that it wasn't built for. That's always a problem. You never really know what somebody's going to plug into a system, and you can blow things up if you plug the wrong thing in. And that's part of the training, the operator of the system. But a year later, they go back and double check and make sure that's going. So it's usually a 3-year cycle. And do they bring new batteries? Well, you can't take batteries. You can't take batteries, and you can't take solar cells on airplanes. Solar cells are too big, and batteries can blow up. So you have to buy them locally. And so when you go on the initial site trip, the person has to find where can you get the equipment that you need that you can't bring in country with you. And it's too expensive now to bring everything with you. You almost always have to buy most of everything in country. Honduras, bless their hearts, has decided to tax everything that people bring in now. So we're really having a difficult time getting equipment in. I don't know if that has anything to do with our current government or not. Could, but yeah.
Any other questions over here?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on.
How can college students get involved in this?
Come to solar school.
That was my question. Can anybody come to solar school?
Absolutely.
You don't turn people down if they apply?
No.
How much does it cost to go to solar school?
There's a website. I think the last school, I think it was $350 for solar 1s and $450 for solar 2s.
So an organization, in theory, could sponsor someone's fee to go to solar school. Interesting, Riley. We'll be talking.
They could do that.
Where is solar school?
Well, it's been in different places. We've done a lot of them in Ferncliff, Arkansas, which is Little Rock. We've done some in the Dallas area. We did one in the West Texas region that was flooded not too long ago. We've done one in Shreveport. We've done one in Puerto Rico, and I don't know, where else have we done? Yeah. We can actually, we have a solar trailer. We can actually do a solar course anywhere that trailer can go.
We do one right here in the hotel parking lot. You in? It's right after this meeting. That's when it is.
But it takes about 3 days, 3 or 4 days.
Well, then you better get something else to eat. Any other questions for Steve? BJ, you're on.
So it sounds to me like if there is a weak point, it would be the batteries.
It is the battery.
And so, my concern is that if you don't have A, efficient batteries, and that B, if you have trouble getting them, and C, the cost to these people in poverty for a new battery, it seems to me like that could be a major deterrent. Am I off the mark here?
Well, there are some batteries that you can find worldwide, and
That looks like a battery book.
yeah, it is.
You can get anything on Amazon, I heard.
Yeah, there are some batteries that you can get worldwide. The batteries that we use is let me look it up here.
It's even tabbed and alphabetized. I'm having notebook envy. Mine doesn't have any tabs.
While Steve's looking that up, I just wanted to mention also that when these systems are designed, they are designed so that the batteries can operate for at least 3 days. So in case there's big storms, things come through, and there's cloud cover, there's enough storage in the batteries that they can last for 3 days before there's any real concern. And that's a big part of it, is they make sure, and if everything's operating right, most days when the sun's shining and everything's going, that battery's just basically sitting there, just being kept fully charged. That's what the battery monitor does. It checks to see how much battery storage is there, and and if that battery needs power, that's where the first power is diverted, is into that battery to make sure it's kept fully charged.
It just seems to me that in a poverty situation, replacing a battery would be a no-go.
Well, again, that is the real extreme situation for them, replacing those batteries. But
Yeah, what's the average life of a battery?
If you take care of it, it'll go 5 years or longer.
So 5 years of light,
yeah,
then risking not being
Yeah.
able to maybe
Well-
buy
well
one immediately.
maintained.
Okay. Well, we are out of time, so follow-up questions after the meeting. Can you take money now?
Well, gee, I think we probably
Why,
should.
yes is the answer. Good job. He can take money now. So we're going to take a photo right after this, and then you can go out to the trailer. Any of you that can stick around, please go out and see their trailer. Check it out. Steve, Tim, thank you for being here. Our club believes in education, so we're going to be donating a book to the public library in your honor. So your name will be in a book in the library. I'll pick it. It'll be amazing.
Okay.
I have a little short story to tell about Steve. He doesn't know I'm going to tell. I knew Steve before this. This is backwards. We snuck this in. If you look on there, Steve is one of my faithful volunteers at Our Daily Bread. I got in big trouble for him presenting here today because he normally works in our freezer. So back in January of 2021, when I started at Our Daily Bread, we were loading cars outside in 4-hour chunks at a time. And it was weeks before I knew there was a guy that worked in the freezer, like that whole time. He was frozen. And so I see him coming out of there one day, and I was like, who is that? And they were like, that's Freezer Steve. I didn't know your last name for 3 years because that is how he is referred to at Our Daily Bread, Freezer Steve. Freezer Steve, Marcia! Yeah, so it's Freezer Steve. So, I got to meet him one day, but he doesn't have a lot to say when he's not talking about his passion. Honestly, he's a pretty quiet guy. So I thought, he hates people and he loves to be cold. Well, we got to visiting one day when we were sitting in the teaching kitchen, and he said, and you told this yourself, so I can say it again. I said, you must love to be cold. And he said, I hate being cold. And I was, confused. And I said, well, you must be really shy and don't like being around people. And he said, I love being around people. He said, I'm immune compromised. This is the third time I've cried today. Because I had a liver transplant. And I'm particularly susceptible to different illnesses. And especially at that time, it was COVID. He said, I want to help here. I don't want people in our community to be hungry. And he said, but there's nowhere I can work here that I'm not around people except the freezer. So this man comes and works for hours at a time in our freezer where he doesn't like to be because he loves people.
Thank you.
So we bought him a shirt that says Freezer Steve because he is our Sub-Zero hero. And in the irony, he's also across the world the hero of light. BJ, on that term, will you lead us out with